In Chapter 1, we will be learning about AutoCAD fundamentals. By the end of this chapter, you will be able to make this bracket, which is comprised of lines, circles, and you'll also learn how to use the erase command earlier in the chapter. The way these lines were inputted, some were given absolute coordinates, some were given relative coordinates, and some were given polar coordinates. So we'll go over all that in this segment. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to New here, and the first thing we want to do when we have this window open, if this is the first time you're opening this program, you probably don't have the menu bar open right here. So what we want to do is go up to the Quick Access toolbar and press the down arrow. Here you'll find a Show Menu Bar button that you want to press. That will then show you this menu bar. So once you have that open, we're going to go to Format and down to Units. Here we're going to make some adjustments, or at least double check what our units are. This way when we input dimensions, we will have them in the correct units. So we want our length to be in a decimal form. That's how we'll be inputting it. And we want our angle to be given in a decimal degree. As well as our precision won't be much more past 2 decimal places. Once we have made those, we'll press OK. Then we'll go back up to Format again and go down to Drawing Limits. These will define the regions at which we will draw in. Notice down in the command prompt line, it'll prompt you to specify the lower left corner. So we want to keep it as 0, 0, so we're going to press Enter on the keyboard, and then again we want it to keep at 12, 9. This is just so in case you want to change these later, you know how to do it. So press Enter again. Now once we've done that, we're going to go to View, Zoom, and Zoom All. That way we can see the entire drawing area. It's hard to tell right now since we don't have anything in the graphics area, but the limits would now be fully seen, opposed to if you're zoomed in too far or whatever. Next thing we want to do is start to draw a line. Now anytime you aren't quite sure on how to start a command, you can always go up to the bar up here and type in either a question or just a simple phrase or keyword. So in this case we just type in draw a line, press Enter, and this menu will pop up. And you can go through this menu and it'll walk you through the steps to answer the question that you give it. So I'm going to get out of this, and we're going to go back to the home portion of the ribbon tool panel, and we're going to simply left click the line button. Here we can now start our drawing. Notice how as I move the cursor coordinates move along with me, so I kind of have an idea of where I am. So what we're going to do right now is draw a simple star just by simply left clicking certain coordinates. So I'm going to left click at this arbitrary location. Notice now I don't have to drag the line, I'm just moving my cursor to a new location to specify the next point as prompted in the command prompt line. So I'm going to left click this point. I'm going to go down here again. I'm going to kind of just draw this as best I can by just eyeballing it. When you're done, I'm simply going to right click and choose Enter. Now the star is a little skewed off to one side, but again I was just kind of eyeballing the locations for each of these points. So now what I'm going to use one of the aids, or one of the options I have down here for drafting. So on the far left we have the snap and grid mode. So I'm just going to left click both of these and toggle both of them on. Notice they turn blue when they're activated. Also when you bring your cursor into the graphics window, you'll notice that it snaps to these dots that are put on the screen. These dots are the grid, and the snapping that's occurring is because I turned on the snap. Later on you'll learn how to adjust the snap and the grid to different sizes. So now we're going to go back into the line command and attempt to draw another star. We'll try and draw it a little more accurate this time. So I'm going to select the line command, and I'm going to start at this point. I'm going to make the star a little bit smaller because I'm running out of space on my grid here. I'm going to go up to this point, left click, down, left click, left click, left click, and back to the beginning. Right click and choose enter to in the command. Notice how my star is more symmetrical this time, being that I used the snap option. Now to erase any of these stars, I can simply go to erase right now in the modify toolbar. Notice that my cursor changes to a pick box. Now it's kind of hard to choose the lines I want to erase, and that's because snap's on, because it's snapping those points. So I'm going to turn snap off, which you can do this in the middle of a command, that's fine. I'm going to choose the lines that I want to erase. When I'm finished, I'm simply going to right click and the lines disappear and my cursor changes back to normal. Now I want to repeat that erase command, so I'm going to right click and choose repeat erase. This time I'm going to drag a window from left to right over the both stars. When I right click, notice everything goes away. Now we're going to talk about our coordinate system. AutoCAD has both world coordinate systems and user coordinate systems. So I'm going to go to my View portion of Room Tool panel and go to UCS icon properties. Here we can change our UCS to a 3D UCS or a 2D UCS. We can also adjust the size and color. So we're going to stick with the 2D UCS and press OK. Once we have done that, we're going to start working on our bracket. Now there's two ways to input lines in AutoCAD. There's both Cartesian form and polar form. A Cartesian form has to be added coordinates of x and y in the case of this two-dimensional drawing, and polar form has a input of a radius and an angle. So we're going to use both of these when we make this bracket. So to start off with this bracket, we're going to make sure our grid is turned on, and it is. And we're going to go up to the line command, which is in the home tab. So I'm going to press line. And the first coordinate we're going to give it is 0, 0. Enter. Notice how it snaps to the center of my UCS. And my next coordinate I'm going to give it is a 5.5, 0. Enter. So notice how I gave it a 0, 0 coordinate, which is the beginning, and a 5.5, which basically was the distance of this line, 0, which was the second coordinate for this point. Now once we've done that, we might want to adjust our screen so we can see it better, so we can always use the pan button here. Notice how my cursor changes to a hand. I can simply left click and drag my line to a different location. So I'm going to put it more in the middle of the screen right here. When I'm finished, I'm going to right click and choose exit, and now I'm back into the line command. So the next coordinate we're going to input is a relative coordinate, which is based off this point right here opposed to this point. So now I'm going to input at, which means it's going to be a relative coordinate, 0, 2.5. Enter. Now I drew a vertical line. Now what I'm going to do is turn back on my snap, and I'm going to be watching my cursor coordinates here. I want to snap to the location of 8, 2.5. Once I've reached that, I'm going to left click for my next point. And now I'm going to enter a polar coordinate, which is going to be at 3, arrow, be sure it's a back or left pointing arrow, 90, which means a radius of 90 and a radius of 3 and an angle of 90. Press enter. Once we're done that, we're going to input another relative coordinate of at negative 1.5, 1. Enter. Now I'm going to move my cursor to the left point direction so my line is straight. I'm going to enter 6.5, enter. Now I'm simply going to right click and choose close, and this will close my region. Now we have the outside of our bracket, and the next thing we want to do is draw the two circles that go in this bracket. To do that, I'm going to use the circle command. If I press the down arrow next to the circle command, you see there's different ways of inputting your circle, whether it's a center and then a radius, or a 2-point circle, 3-point circle, tangent, tangent, radius, and so on. So we're going to enter a coordinate for the center and then the diameter. So we want the center diameter circle. Notice again the command prompt lines, it prompts us for the center point for the circle. So that would be at 2.5, 3. Enter. So I place my circle, and now it asks for a diameter, which we want to be 2.5. Enter. Once we've done that, we want to right click and choose repeat circle, and this time we want to give it a relative coordinate to the next circle, which will be based off the center point of this circle. So we're going to put at 2.5, 2, enter. And now we need to give it a diameter, so we're going to right click and choose diameter, and the diameter will be 1.5. So now you have your bracket, and the next thing you want to do is save this document. So we're going to go up to the A and save. Here we'll give it a name as bracket and click save. Saving is something you want to do quite often when you're drafting, especially if it's more complex, which will definitely happen. So in this section you learned how to draw lines, circles, and use an erase command, as well as inputting coordinates in both Cartesian and polar form.